Is it a time for you yourselves to dwell in your paneled houses while this house lies in ruins? God spoke these powerful words through the prophet Haggai to a nation struggling with its priorities. The Israelites had returned to Jerusalem after years of exile in Babylon, eager to rebuild their lives and their city. Yet, somewhere along the way, their focus shifted. They became preoccupied with their own comfort, neglecting the most important task, rebuilding God's temple. This question echoes through the ages, challenging us to examine our own hearts and priorities. Are we so consumed with our own lives, our own comfort, that we neglect the work God has called us to do? Do we prioritize our own desires above His divine purpose? Haggai's message is timeless, urging us to align our hearts with God's will and rebuild the sacred spaces in our lives. Imagine the Israelites returning to Jerusalem after decades in exile. Their homeland, once familiar, now lay in ruins. The once magnificent temple, a symbol of God's presence, was destroyed. The task ahead seemed daunting, overwhelming. Yet with hope in their hearts, they began to rebuild their lives, their homes, and their city. It's easy to understand why they focused on their personal needs. They had endured hardship, loss, and displacement. Rebuilding their personal lives was essential, but as time passed, something crucial was forgotten. The temple, the very place where they were to encounter God, remained in ruins. Their priorities had shifted, and their spiritual lives suffered. The Israelites' story is a powerful reminder that it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, to prioritize our comfort and security above all else. We build our own paneled houses, focusing on our careers, our possessions, and our personal goals. We seek comfort and ease, forgetting that true fulfillment comes from aligning ourselves with God's purpose. The Israelites' neglect of the temple wasn't just about bricks and mortar, it reflected a deeper neglect, a neglecting of their relationship with God. They allowed their hearts to grow distant from Him, prioritizing their own desires over His divine will. Section 4. God's gentle rebuke, a call to action. Through Haggai, God sent a clear message to His people. He reminded them that their priorities were misplaced. Their focus on personal comfort while His house lay in ruins was not pleasing to Him. But God's rebuke was not harsh condemnation. It was a loving call to action, a plea for His people to return to Him with their whole hearts. Consider your ways. You have sown much, but harvest little. You eat, but have not enough to be satisfied. You drink, but are still thirsty. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. And he who earns wages to put into a bag with holes. Haggai 1:5-6 NKJV. God was showing them that true satisfaction and fulfillment wouldn't come from material possessions or personal comfort. It would come from putting Him first, from rebuilding His temple and restoring their relationship with Him. Section 5. Renewed priorities, renewed blessings. The Israelites responded to Haggai's message with obedience. They put aside their personal pursuits and rallied together to rebuild God's temple. And as they did, God poured out His blessings upon them. From this day forward I will bless you. Haggai 2:19 NKJV. God's promise to the Israelites is a powerful reminder that when we align our priorities with His will, He blesses us abundantly. Our obedience unlocks His favor and provision in our lives. Section 6. The Promise of Glory, a glimpse of Jesus. Haggai's message wasn't just about a physical temple. It pointed to something far greater, the coming of Jesus Christ, the true temple of God. The glory of this latter temple shall be greater than the former, says the Lord of hosts. And in this place I will give peace, says the Lord of hosts. Haggai 2:9 NKJV. This prophecy found its ultimate fulfillment in Jesus, who came to dwell among us, His presence filling the temple of our hearts. When we prioritize God, when we make Him the center of our lives, we experience the true peace and glory that only He can bring.